Now you say, well, how valid is this? Is it true or not? Now, if you reach my age, and looking back at your life, and many things that happen in your life, don't you sometimes feel that you're limited? Certain things are bound to happen, they happen. When they're bound not to happen, then they wouldn't happen. I'll give you a good example. In China back about 200-something AD, the time of the dynasty of the Three States, there was one state in southwestern China where the best thinkers, the best army generals, the best soldiers, they never could capture the country because the fate of the country was that all these three little states had to fail and to be merged together 72 years later. And China did unite, and united by a very mediocre emperor who only lasted 60 years. Okay, what is it telling us? It's telling us sometimes being smart may not be good enough. If you're smart but you miss the timing, you're still bad. Don't you have the experience that you advise your friend which stock is going to go up, your friend make a whole dough of money. When you do it yourself, you lose your shirt, and you are the smarter guy. And so you wonder how come it happened that way. A lot is because your personal cycle in your life. But knowing where you are, you're better off. So when we look at the picture, it's like this. Every human being has their own life cycle, ups and downs. The factor, I call it, I don't know if I said this formula to you last year. I restated it down here. Sienna, have a seat. Did you see it? Thank you. In living in this society, life seems to be getting more and more complicated. We got to cut through the complexity, go back to the simplicity. And life and the world is just a formula. Formula is A plus B plus C equal to D. That's it. That's all life is about. What is business? Business is A times B equal to C. That's all business. And the whole idea of economics is A times B equal to C. So what I'm dealing with today is A plus B plus C equal to D. D is a result. A is a born with factor. That is the moment, the year, month, day, and hour, and place of birth dictates the limitation or the swing of our life. It also outlines our high and low points in our life. If we can capture that, we know what to do. At the high point, low point, we are better people. Now, not just us. Every city has its cycles. Every company has its life cycles. A company's high or low cycles are actually determined by the date, the moment of charter. Years ago, I helped a good friend of mine from Moscow, Russia, who lost his ship by selling short on the stock. I said the last resort he had was to see me, and I asked him to find out the charter date of the company. I charted the high and low points of the company. I told them to buy more, and then sell by November. That was July. By November, you must stop the whole thing. It didn't lose a penny. Because by knowing the cycle of the company, it could do that. So a company has cycles, and the city has cycles. So some city will do well at one point in time, then on another point in time. Even the country has cycles. China hit the bottom about 100 and somewhat years ago. Now it's coming up big. So has India. So they have cycles. USA hit the peak in the time of Clinton. Now it's going down the tube with the new president. So everything has ups and downs, high cycles and low cycles. Okay? Now, so A, we cannot control appointment. What we could do is B and C. What is B? B is the settings, the locations. Okay? If your life would favor certain locations, maybe Toronto versus Hong Kong, Beijing versus Shanghai, if you know those locations, what's good or bad for you, you capture the location. And then you set up the location the way best for you. It's called Feng Shui. Then even though you may have a low A, you have a high B. So still not bad. What is C? C is people factor. What kind of person are you? Are you a nice guy? Are you an SOB? Or have you got friends? Or have you got enemies? Who are your friends? Who are your enemies? All those are dictated by A. But you use A and put it into C. So when you combine those good factors, even if your A hit the bottom, you have very high B and C. All you want is a high D. You don't want a high A. However, for people born with a golden or silver spoon with very high A, they probably never believe in B and C. They thought they could afford to be SOB for life. Okay? And also they could afford to forget about Feng Shui. It's all superstitious. They don't need anything. Because their A is so high. They don't realize that life is like cycles, waves. And so when they hit the low, they learn the lesson. All right? And how true is this? Very true. The physicists over the centuries told us everything that has life has to be driven by something called energy. And energy or matter, for that matter, transmits in forms of waves. So anything that can travel in waves carries energy. Okay, for example, you see red, you feel hot. You see blue, you feel cold. It's because short wavelengths give you the cold feeling. Long wavelengths give you the hot feeling. And these waves can be regular, can be irregular. And when we impose it to a life, it becomes a life cycles. So a life without waves, without high and lows, the only one way you can achieve it is we don't have a life. It's flat. So when you look at the diagram for the heartbeat, it's always ups and downs. The moment your heartbeat is flat, sayonara. Go back to seek out if you're lucky. Okay. All right? So we have to accept those underlying principles before a year reading for the year makes sense. If you don't buy into those basic fundamentals, then nothing else makes any sense. Agree with me? Now, what is so significant about a year? Now, somehow whoever created the concept of a year is phenomenal. I don't know how they did that. Did you know that time and space are the same thing? You always begin with space. What is 1 year? 1 year's time, but it's actually space. 1 year is the distance that the Earth will go around the sun and back to the originating position. And what is 1 day? 1 day is the space, the distance, the number of miles or kilometers the world takes to rotate one round. So time and space are the same thing. But so time and space also create waves, and we capture these waves. We are way ahead of the gravity. All right? And whoever created the concept of a year is phenomenal. And then back about 3,000 to 5,000 years ago in old China, we developed a whole set of formulas and equations to explore the meaning of life, to explore the meaning of the progress of the world. And these formulas are extremely precise. And we actually classify the life of the Earth right to the T. Okay, and I always said if I don't need to work, if I have all the time that I can get, I can probably sit down and calculate the world for the next 1,000 years, year by year. Very time consuming, but it can be done. And there are formulas that can be used to do it. The hard part is not just using the formulas, it's how to decode the code. Between a master and a mediocre person, the secret is how good are you in decoding the code. So I'm here tonight to give you the decode, okay? Now we use 3 very basic important formulas to look at the world for a year. Okay, so I'll begin with that, then I'll have some fun with you talking about the horoscopes. All right, now we use the first formula is from I Ching. Ever heard about the book called I Ching? The I spelled as I, like I, pronounced as Yi. Yi means changes. What is constant in the universe? What is the one constant? The one constant is change. What is change? Change is motion. Anything without change, without motion, is dead. Okay, so anything alive in the universe always is moving, and that's why they can go on forever. And anything that happens on Earth is a miniature version of the universe. Anything that happened to us as human body is a miniature reflection of Earth and the universe. So that's the concept of universe, Earth, and mankind combination. And if you can capture the three, you'll become a very wealthy person. Not just money, but spiritually and health-wise. Okay, how do you know that? Very simple. You look at DNA, the building block of the human body. DNA goes in counterclockwise. But you cut a tree open, you look down a tree, every tree ring is counterclockwise. And where do we live now? We live in the galaxy, the solar system. Solar system is the bottom right-hand corner of the galaxy. And how does the galaxy look? Anti-clockwise swing. The shape of the galaxy is identical to the shape of the DNA. So DNA is a miniature of what we got from the universe. All right? So if you can organize your business, your Feng Shui, with that formula, your business will do marvelous. Okay, and with that, people in China back 5,000 years ago created the concept of binary math. That is 0 and 1. You see this diagram? Okay, from the 0 and 1, they come up with a whole bunch of interesting things. Okay, for example, the dotted line, that is, you can go through it, becomes a 1. The solid line becomes a 0. And so China created the first computer of mankind 5,000 years ago. And then at the time they created a method called the earlier heaven I Ching. In other words, the natural method, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then on and on. 3,000 years ago, they further developed another formula based on the I Ching to match with the way the universe works better. And that becomes called the later heaven I Ching. And that's what we use to predict the world. From there, we come up with a whole bunch of mathematics to describe the world and when things will happen, when things won't happen. So nothing is incidental. Everything has a reason and can be predicted. All right? Now, for year 2006, it's governed by something called water on land. Okay. Now, this is a very complex formula, kind of simplified. Now, the first diagram is called water. The bottom diagram, the 3-dotted line, means land. So water and land. Right off the bat, what do you think would happen in 2006 in the world? Lots of water, lots of flooding. Okay, that's a worldwide phenomenon. And besides, it's going to be an awfully hot year worldwide. You know why? It's because you have more dotted lines than solid lines. And one more interesting prediction, the dotted line represents the female, the women. The solid line represents the man, the male, or yang. So dotted line is yin, female, and then solid line, yang, the male. What is it telling us? More and more so, in this year, more highly ranked corporations are going to have their heads as female. Female, like woman head of state, okay, and then even head of countries. In other words, if Hillary Clinton will come out for the election this year, she has a very high chance of winning. It is 2006. I don't know if they could, because the election is supposed to be 2008 as well. Okay. Oh, Chile, there you go. Nigeria. And a lot of corporations are having their heads as female. So next time when you go home, don't forget kiss your wife and your mother. Because they are going to be in control. What about men? Actually, it depends. Men with lesser temper, softer, more thoughtful, soft-spoken, are going to be those with power. People who would have big voice, scolding people a lot, temperamental, these people are going to lose the power, let alone their jobs. Okay, so for the men, you want to be successful in 2006, be soft. Do some Tai Chi or learn from your wife. Okay, so it's very important thing to look at. So that's the governing power of this year. Now, there's another formula that we use to govern the world. The first one is called I Ching. The second method is called method of the flying stars. And I draw a diagram. Which way shows better, blue or black? Black? Okay, no discrimination. I will use the black one. Thunder. In Chinese. This formula is a controlling formula for this world in terms of people behavior and also business. Now, if we divide I Ching into the top and bottom half. The top one means thunder. The bottom line means the mountain. Now, dotted line being female, solid line being male. Notice something? Two female on both sides blasting the male. Another proof that the female is getting the power this year. Okay, but look at it more carefully. This one, the bottom one, divided in two parts. The bottom one represents the young boy. The older one represents older boy. What does it mean? Homosexuality. A lot of gay power in this year. That means in this year, the gay parties are not just getting legalized, they want more power. They also want more benefits from the governments. And this is quite a worldwide phenomenon for 2006 that cannot be ignored. Okay, you cannot, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, I'm just stating the fact that it will happen. And it is happening because of it. Okay? Now, from this, it also indicates something. Thunder is fire, a lot of fire. Mountain is land. There's a lot of fire on land. So this is going to be a hell of a hot year. Lots of fire for this year, very hot. So whoever selling bikinis will make a lot of money for this year. Okay? And at the same time, certain areas, especially southwest part of the world, where there are more forest fires, will be hotter, southwest part. All right? And another very basic phenomenon, the first one indicates a lot of water, second one indicates a lot of fire. So this is a water and fire mixture here. So for countries that are doing well, it's extreme. They will continue to do even better, much faster. For countries that are suffering, in trouble, they're going to go down to even faster. Almost like 2005. When I was here last year talking about 2005, I said 2005 was governed by the teaching of heaven and earth opposition, extreme draw. That draw means everything will be extreme. Extreme hot, extreme cold, extremely watery, extremely dry. All that happened, and I also indicated the positions. And all that will happen this year with different locations. And I'll come to that. So keep in mind, for 2006 is crazy year with all this. Now, what about the third formula? The third formula is do a live reading for the year. The live reading is based on the year, month, day, and hour of the beginning of that moment of the hour of the year, when the year kicks in. So this year officially kicks in not on Chinese New Year Day. Forget about January 29th. That's just party day. The official New Year Day kicks in 2006, the Western calendar, February the 4th, precisely 7:29 a.m. So anybody born on that day prior to 7:29 a.m., if you have someone born at 7:28 a.m., okay, that person will still be born in the year of the rooster. It had to be from 7:29 a.m. on. will then become the dog. Okay, and this year is covered by 4 important signs. Year of the fire dog, month of metal tiger, day of water rat, and hour of bird dragon. The interesting thing is the year and month seem to be connected, but yet they're in opposition. They're missing a horse. That means there will be a lot of cohabitation going on. People refuse to get married. They just want to live together. More and more so, especially younger people in this year. Social phenomena based on the year of birth of the year. But the day and the hour of this year are connected. So there will be a record number of marriages. Both sexes. Men and women, men and men, women and women. But one thing also stands out big is in northern countries, like Canada and Russia, we're getting more marriages done in a different way. Older women, younger men for this year. And that's a continuation of the trend from 2005. So anybody want to look around and look at your... Okay. Now, one more thing very important in logical deduction. Look back at this. This formula governs human behavior in 2006. The first part here, the first 3 lines represent wood. The bottom 3 lines represent earth, wood against earth. Have you ever planted a tree in your home? Doesn't the tree penetrate the earth? That also means we're going to see a lot of younger boys in particular. The bottom part represents younger boys going to be in trouble for 2 things. Number one, majority of terrorist action in the East this year will be undertaken by younger men, even boys. Even boys. Number 2, in a lot of countries, younger boys are going to be molested and got into trouble. So if you have younger boys in your family, please take good care of your younger boys. It's because of the wood and earth conflict against them this year. All right? So it's very interesting here about to see. Now, what about the year itself, fire dog? If you look back at history, majority of dog years were bad for the world. Were bad for the world. In general, out of the 12 horoscopic signs, the signs that represent well are the pigs, the roosters, and the rats. Okay? And also to a more minor degree, the snakes. If you look back at the past 100 years of the world history, whenever the years falls in one of those 4 signs, the world seems to be doing better. Whenever it's a dog year, usually battles, suffering, poverty, these natural disasters. We don't have one exception. 2006 is the exception. You know why? Because in 2006, there is hidden a lucky star in the year. It's because this is not a normal dog year. A year is not just a year alone. Every kind of year has 5 different kinds. You have the wooden dog, water dog, and also metal dog, fire dog, bird dog, etc., etc. This is a fire dog year, and it's normal, not a normal fire dog year. And every element also has a yin and yang. This is a yang fire dog, positive fire dog. And because of the word positive fire combining with dog, we have a lucky star. So worldwide, economically, the world's going to do very well overall. And so that would bring up a very important concept. If you're in business, you have to know what's going to do well, what is not going to do well. .com, high tech, has been in trouble for 5 years. Since 2000, at the end of 2000, beginning of 2001, right through 2005, in general. You know why? Well, on the human side, it's because they put so much fear against year 2000, Y2K. They overproduce people. They overbought stuff. And in no time, they have an oversupply. Remember I said in businesses, A times B equals C? is A times B. A is actually the supply, B is the demand, C is the constant. So if you have oversupply, you don't have proper demand, you're in big trouble. And that's what happened to the dot-coms in the past 5 years. So it takes 5 years, which is about a cycle. Because every 10 years is a major cycle, middle major cycle. 5 years is a unit cycle. The world goes on 20-year cycles. So every 20 years, the world goes through a major change. So right now, we're in the 3rd year into the current cycle, okay? But we happen to walk through in between cycles between 2003 and 4. And it's precisely in those 2 years that high-tech did the worst. A lot of people in high-tech lost their jobs in those 2 years because in between time. 2006 is a year it's going to come back bleeding life. So fire is the #1 business in 2006. If you're in the business of fire, you will do very well. Fire would include high-tech, electronics, electrical work, energy. You want to make a lot of money, come up with a new way for energy. This is the year to do it. So because this year also has a lot of natural element in it, as I just explained, so the major energy source will be actually wind. You're about to see some breakthroughs in windmills worldwide. I'm not surprised that next year, when you take the ferry from Toronto to Centre Island, you're going to see a lot of windmills in Lake Ontario. One day in the future, it's going to happen. Okay, if you can find the easy way out, you're great. The second is high-tech itself. Most high-tech companies will do, those who survive the dot-com bust will do extremely well from now on. Okay, if you put your eyes on investments, keep an eye on a few good ones. Okay, and this is a good time to buy because they just sank a lot today. If you want to make some quick money, tomorrow's the day. Okay, because they are all going to bounce back up. People always buy on greed, sell on fear. So 99% human being always buy stocks when they are high, sell them when they are low. As long as you go against them, you always make money. So when everybody sells, you buy. When everybody buys, you sell. That's how you make money, like anything else. All right? So those who do well, Google, Microsoft, Computer Associates, etc., and also Oracle, these are the world sending out ones. All right, because of the element of fire. And also, education will be going through some reforms. I give you some insider, but since I'm not a stockbroker, I give you insider information. I happen to have the honor to be the keynote speaker in mid-December last year, just last month, for the Federation of Teachers of Ontario in Sheraton Hotel, Niagara Falls. And people from over 40 school boards came to my speech. It was only a half-an-hour speech, but they came all the way to Niagara Falls to listen to me. And I focused a lot on education. And because one of the reasons was back in 2002, I became the textbook material in Ontario. If your son or daughters will be studying a business course in grade 12, used to be grade 13, I just got demoted. There's a course called entrepreneurship. And what I do myself and everything has become since one of the chapters in the textbook of Ontario. So a lot of young kids have seen me for that. And how I transform a computer scientist, a business manager into something completely different over time, and how to make it work. So it's very enticing. Okay, and what I heard from them is they are trying, these people are the policy makers in all of Ontario's teachers. So they are coming up with something new soon. They're working on it. I'm not surprised that one day Feng Shui will become a grade 12 course. In fact, it could, because I already was teacher for RICO for 2 years, for the Real Estate Council of Ontario. And over those 2 years, I gave 6 credits to 700 agents in Ontario. So they became real estate agents through my 6 credits, part of it. Okay, so a lot of interesting things are going to happen for that. So fire, remember fire is number one. What is number two? Earth. 5 years in a row, everybody with wisdom have been saying real estate will bust, especially in Toronto. And 5 years continuous has said it's going to go up. Was I wrong or right? Okay. Let me give you a secret. Every time CNBC says something, just do the opposite. Everything the government says something, take the opposite road. Okay? If the government say they're going to lower your tax, prepare that you're going to lose your shirt. They say one more time, you may have to wear a bikini. Okay, do the opposite. Because they are spoiled to completion people. They don't know real life. Real life should be people like yourselves. People who go through day-to-day life, how to manage business, how to struggle and make it work. People like yourself should be governing this country. Or becoming a politician, probably this way. So Earth is real estate. It will do quite well still, but more selectively. It will not go up the crazy way like in the last 2 years. But quality real estate in proper cities are going to go up big time. What are these quality cities? In Canada, we are talking about Toronto. And that is GTA in general. As long as you're in the T in Toronto, you will make it good. What is the T? The top right-hand corner of the T is Unionville. The center top T is Richmond Hill. The top left T, the middle bar there, is Vaughan. The center T is Willowdale. The bottom T is downtown Toronto, such a city place. Okay, places like that within the power. People outside the T should be a little more careful. Okay, because that's not where the power centers are. So you're going to see extremes this year. Some real estate will do very well, some will do very poorly. So if your answer to real estate, to HKCBA, you say yes, it's bad, you're right depending on where you are. You say it's good, you're right too, depending on where you are. The other good cities are like Miami, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach. In 2001, I was interviewed in Miami by the media, 2001. I still have this newspaper at home. Okay, a full page. I said, Florida is going to boom within 2 years toward the northwest side. Whoever would buy in the northwest side of West Palm Beach will do very well. Believe that now, 2001, in those days, a $200,000 house today is $600,000. Only 4 years after I said my prediction for Florida. Another place would also do quite well would be San Diego, Southern California, and also the inside of San Francisco, such as, I don't know if you've been there or not, such as Stockton, Tracy, you know those places? You don't? I did a lot of Feng Shui in those places, and they pay me well too doing that. A lot of those people are plastic surgeons, and these people make over $1 million a year. Yeah. So next time you want your nose cut, you know how much it costs. Okay. Yeah. These doctors will not open an office, a clinic without flying me down there to help them. So it worked very well between them and me. Okay. What about China? China will do very well in places like Beijing. Beijing will do much better than Shanghai this year. Okay? Another good place doing very well will be southern China, such as Guangzhou, Fusan, Jiangmen, and those surrounding areas. As a matter of fact, next month, not next month, first week of March, March 11th, I will be in Tianjin, 2-hour drive east of Beijing, doing a $100 million project, equivalent to 20 million Canadian. I will be advising them what to do with the piece of land, and they're going to fly me there. Okay, so even what I do is taken very seriously in China, and some of my clients include very high-ranking officials in the Liberation Army. So whenever in China, most of my chauffeurs are the soldiers in disguise. It works very well too for me. Yeah, last month when I was in China, I was in big rush. So I told my official friend in southern China, the person on me, I like to be in the car, so we put my baggage over to his car so I could run to my appointment quickly. In no time at all, went through all the red lights. So worked very well in China. It doesn't work here though, unfortunately. So things like that. And when I was in Jamaica just a couple of weeks ago, I did the same. I had the police drive me because I advised the Prime Minister and the Mayor of Kingston also work very well. So when you know the officials, life is a breeze. All right. So the key is real estate will do well in Toronto. Don't worry, don't you listen to CMC. Now, what about the interest rate? Interest rate will come down by mid-year 2006. So if you want to buy a house, the first 6 months you better leave it as an open mortgage and lock it in toward December, the middle of the year. Okay, so that's how it works. Because 2007, real estate will be phenomenal. Another boom in 2007. So 2006 is in transit. So you have to know the timing. All right? And what about metal? Remember last year when Telco was claiming bankruptcy, I had the board to say that they're going to survive. I put my name on it. And I actually said metal would do very well. Look back at history. Are they still here? Okay. And what about this year? They'll continue to do well. They should get out of bankruptcy. What's killing them is the single word, complacency, greed. Management greed too much of it. Unions have greed too much of it. And they don't come to terms. So they kill themselves. But any part of the world, if you're in the steel business, you'll do phenomenal. And Inco finally would develop in South Pacific Ocean, the funny island. You know which island? Yeah, where there's a lot of nickel. Because metal would do well this year. So you can bank your money on some metal stocks. But you have to know the timing, obviously. So metal would do well. And that also would include certain careers, such as management consulting, administration management. Quite a few companies are going to have their heads changed. There's some heads are going to be chopped, some new heads are going to be put on. Hopefully it's not the same body. Most, you know what Nortel's problem was? They chopped their head off, they left the body behind and put a new head on the same body. That's why it didn't work. You want to change the whole body, not just a head. So how many times did they change their heads? But still the same mummy they found in Egypt's pyramids. It's a run-down body. They got to change the body, not just a head. So, but anyways, Nortel will not go under, don't worry. You know who saved Nortel? China. Most of the huge developments are in China, and now India. So remember that. Now what is the business should not touch in this year, in Toronto at least? Textile. Anything to do with maybe in trouble this year. Okay? So I think for the sake of our descendants, for the sake of mankind, we should stop cutting those trees. We should come up with better ways to claim material. Like what my good buddy did. Marco Polo. By the way, that's a good friend of mine. He's the descendant of Marco Polo. I'm convinced about it. They look alike. Stand up.
Thank you.
I do a little bit of advertising for my buddy. He manufactures the best new kind of acrylic stucco that I've ever known. And he showed me, I couldn't believe my eyes. He actually broke the law. He destroyed a copper. He used a Canadian penny, scratch on the stucco. The penny disappeared, the stucco was still there. I couldn't believe it. How did you do that? But that's illegal to destroy Canadian funds. Okay, so technology keeps changing. Whoever will be one step ahead will make a lot of money. So in this kind of business, it's going to make a lot of money and do extremely well in 2006.
You're going to cost me a lot more money, Paul.
I will. I'm worth it.
You're going to become the CEO of the company. The company doesn't perform, but we got all the witness now.
Okay. Well, I'm lucky. So far, those companies I predicted, none of them has gone wrong yet anyways. We'll do our best. So wood is no good. So textile business, clothing business in Toronto, they're going to really suffer. Not just them, worldwide. The only textile places that would do well would be as if they are in growing countries like China. Outside that, again. In November last year, I was in Nanjing, China. I helped to build a 200,000 square foot textile company. And last I heard from them, they already outperformed their facility. And how many months have gone by? Only less than 1 year. They already outperformed it. And my other reading in southern China, 350,000 square foot factory, manufacturing packages, luggage. Ever heard about LA Paris, Ella Paris, or the Sao Paulo? They manufacture all of them. And because of the joint effort, my advice, they already outperform the facility too. Not enough. So they need more, probably 500,000 square foot factory. So that's the kind of magnitude you're talking about. In Toronto, if you have a factory about 10,000 square feet, or you're laughing. Most of them about 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. That's the magnitude we're talking. We want to compete in the world here, we're going to think big. And I'm helping you to think big. And another business will be in trouble to water. Water is mainly travel, but that's quite interesting. This sector will do very poorly in places like USA. So some bankruptcies are imminent. And they have to join force together to survive. Whereas in Canada, we would do well. Why? Because Canada is the money center in North America. So with that, let me bring you to the locations. Now we divide the world into different elements. So I have a new theory. I classify every country into a new element, within which every city would have their own element, within which we have the sub-elements. We call it big Tai Chi, middle Tai Chi, and small Tai Chi. All right? Now, the money center for 2006 is on the north end. North end is what is Canada. Let's focus on North America. So Canada, growth-wise, will outperform the United States. Okay? And within Canada, the money center is Alberta, the center north part. Places like the Glen Prairies and Fort McMurray. Have you been there, guys? You will be surprised to see the wealth there. Enormous wealth. Yeah, I was just back, I was in Edmonton Tuesday last week. And even Edmonton was booming. And I helped to advise a developer for 1,200 houses in northwestern Edmonton. So you're talking about magnitude there, okay? And advise them when to build them and what kind of stuff to build. So work very well that way. And what about the second best center? Okay, the second best center is actually Northwest. Northwest happened to be the learning center this year. So learning center meaning they get smart, they come up with a lot of scholars. In terms of Canada, you're talking about northern BC and northern Alberta. So you see quite a lot of smart people coming out of those funny places that you never heard of. Okay? I don't know if anybody will come out of Prince Charlotte Island, but we'll see. But Northwest will be the learning center. That means in Toronto, if you are in northern Etobicoke, so they would have quite a few scholars coming out as well, so doing very well. And what about the northeast side? Northeast side is a mobility travel center of the world, but with some warlike event. You're going to see Quebec, northeast side of this country, going to have big voices. They're applying both again. They are planning for independence, but within the next 18 years, Quebec would have not even a chance for that. You can count on my word for that. Okay, from 2024 on, I can't tell yet. But before that time, no chance. All right? But they're getting more power. They want more benefits. It's because they're governed by the number 6. Number 6 means war and also means change. So the major change for this year, for this country's coming election, will be in Quebec because of change. Now, what about the east side? Okay, the east side is a romance center for this year. So you're going to see a lot of, if your house, for example, to the small scale, is facing east, chances are you better take a good look at your boyfriend or husband, and vice versa. Too many romances. Better make sure you are the romance for the other guy. Okay, it should work that way. Or if you have trouble finding the other one, okay, maybe you should find the center east room in your home. That would do it. But worldwide, this is a funny number. It's governed by the number one. Number one is the double-edged sword. Even though it's romance, it also means instabilities. Now, the most unstable country represented by East is Japan. So this year, we are going to see enormous number of scandals, problems in Japan, together with major earthquakes because of instabilities that happen in Japan, so keep that in mind. Okay, and then southeast side is very interesting, something to watch out for. It's a sickness center of this year. That will include Toronto. Also, southeast Florida, including Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Hong Kong, Taiwan. A lot of new germs will come out of those places. Okay? But Miami and Fort Lauderdale will go through something very similar to New Orleans last year. Enormous water in those areas. And my predicted months are between August and September of 2006 for that to happen. So if you have to take a business trip to the southeast side of a place in the world, you better get good injections before you go with the right thing. All right, so keep that in mind. What about the south side? South side is the second worst center for this year. It's represented by legal conflicts and also robberies and theft. All right, that means representing countries like South America, okay, will go through enormous problem with that mugging, and Southern Europe as well. If you happen to be in Southern Italy, Southern Greece, South America, be careful about mugging or pocket snatching, things like that. There will be a lot of thieves over there. And also, if your house is facing south, be careful about getting traffic tickets, etc. Legal conflicts. Do something about it to protect it, and break-ins and so on. And that also represents downtown would be a lot of break-ins in downtown houses. So in Toronto. So if you live in downtown Toronto, be careful about it. Southwest is the, as I said, a very happy center, but it's represented by fire. So what it means to us is in this year, if you happen to be a southeast side, southwest side, for example, New Toronto, southwest Etobicoke, be careful about fire. And southwest places would be such as Los Angeles, could be major fire. So be careful about it. All right? Yeah. And the number one worst center for this year is the West. The West is represented by the ugliest number of 5 yellow. A lot of people ask me what's meant by 5 yellow. 5 yellow in terms of Feng Shui represents the emperor. So if the emperor is good for you, you do very well. If it's bad for you, you're in trouble. Representing the West is United States. United States this year is going to be engulfed in more wars than you thought. Okay, financially in worse trouble. The West side will also be represented by west of Los Angeles, major earthquakes this year. Okay? The earthquakes that didn't quite happen, it did happen, but not as big yet, will happen this year. Okay, so if you travel there, be a little more cautious. The earthquake could actually be felt from as far as Vancouver, okay, for this year. And also could be new volcanoes. I think the Mount Helen in Washington State may be smoking again for this year. So those are major events in the world. Now, as the weather is concerned, this is an extreme year too. We're going to see a lot of water because all the signs are showing you water. So water will be mainly at several locations. The south part, number one is southeast part, number two is east part, number three is south part. So that means in Canada, the Maritimes are going to suffer a lot of water damage, flooding. So if you have you have business to sell water pumps, you can make a lot of money to sell them to the Maritimes, all right? And so as Miami and so on, the East and the North and South Carolina, so all that would happen too. Okay, but that is minor thing compared with the major earthquake, all right? And what about the center? The center is an argument center for this year. What is representing the center? Mid-East. Are you going to see peace in the East? Not in our next 3 lifetimes.
Wow.
Forget it. From a Feng Shui point of view, a place with peace had to have a lot of green, water, ups and downs like hillish places, mild, very enticing places. They would produce peace. Places with strict desert, very dried up, very extreme, you would never expect peace. Okay, so it would not happen. It's just a matter of degree. So if you don't need to go to Iran for business, I advise you not to, including Iran. So not a good idea. And there's a lot of arguments down there too. And you would never be able to tell who's right, who's wrong. Because they're just arguing, just yap kind of thing. So those indicate the major center. You want to make some money this year, I give you a little hint. In the center north part of your house, find a piggy bank, put some money in it, make some money this year. Okay? If you look at a house, you go home and locate the north end of your house and go to the center part of that line. That is a money center in your house for the coming year. Find a little piggy bank, put some money in it, you may be able to do some miracle in this year for yourself or your family. Okay, I just given you the next $1 million. Bob is going to get a commission. Okay, now what about any questions you want to ask about business or anything before I go to the horoscopes, which I hate.
Can we ask about 2007?
Who's that 207?
Sorry. Don't make the list of 206.
207 is my
Interest rate. Interest rate. You said
interest rate will be much lower in 2007. Much lower. Actually, starting in the second half of 2006, it will be on the downtrend. So we'll do much better. If you're patient enough, if you can't see enough, hold off the mortgage until 2007. But even now, it's not bad. I've never seen interest rate that low. And don't forget, next year is a big year. Big year usually is good. It's my year too. Next year will be my big time at lunar age. I'm 61 next year. So that will be a good year for me. The what?
Oil price.
Oh, the oil price will continue to go way up this year. Will not really go down. Why? Because this year is very heavy in water. And water is a negative thing. That means it hurts your pocketbook a lot. So it's, in fact, it's a good thing that it's high. We will be in big trouble if oil is low. If oil is low, we never think of any other means. Now it's so high, we have to think of other ways, like the hybrid engine and so on. Okay, sometimes we never make a change until we're forced to. When economically speaking, you have to reach a point that's no longer economical before you make a change. So it's, in the long run, it's a good thing. But it also creates a new generation of problems. If we no longer rely on oil, you know what's going to happen to Arabia. You see? But the future of the world will favor those countries on high tech and information. The key to the future is the keyword information. Who can obtain and manage information better will do better. In fact, I give you a counterpart example, and this is part of this very important. Ever heard about a trade called management consulting? You know what they do? They do two major things. Number one is CYA. You know what that is? Oh, who knows what CYA is?
Cover your ass.
I didn't swear, somebody did. I'm not allowed to swear as a speaker. If you think you're going to be in trouble, you hire a consultant. Anything that goes wrong, the consultant goes. You did. And then you get another consultant, and he could be too. Until finally somebody wakes up one morning and they find a roof. That's the reason number one. Reason number two is more real. When a company needs to turn around, they hire real top-notch management consultants to really do a commando team to look at the problems, the market, come up with about 20 feet tall report and tell them what to do. But the reason I say that is so funny, because I had a very good friend, world-famous management consultant, so I cannot mention his name. Otherwise it would be not nice. We're good friends. We had a long night discussion over a beer or something. We're getting talking after that. Okay, the key is they come up with scenario A, B, C, D, E, and the final conclusion is a big if. They say if this should be the case, this would happen. The funny thing is, who on earth is the best person to tell you the if? That's me. He said in the long run, the Feng Shui master is still the one in control. And he said that honestly. Because the future is unknown. They have to base on certain assumptions. What if these assumptions don't come true? Anybody in the stock market business? Financial advisors? Fantastic. You know what you learn from the courses, CSA? The key is they say, as a good financial advisor, you learn from the past data, but you cannot rely on past data. Isn't it true? That's why most people got into big trouble with Nortel. They look at past data, not future data, but they don't know the future. Even today, every single time you listen to the news, they predict the weather, they predict the stock market. But they are assuming based on something, either fundamental or technical analysis. But the best way to predict future is use a different approach. So this is management consulting with a twist.